let me introduce you to our guests who are in the studio with us today. We can see Elizabeth Hernandez, who is with Facebook in Asia Pacific, and we also have Katie Harpeth, who's Facebook's Global Politics Director. Ladies, welcome to Rappler.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Please let me start with Elizabeth first. What's your sense of the elections and the role Facebook is playing in it?
Well, this has been really exciting time for us because I think you called it that it was going to be social elections, or social media was going to play a critical role in this elections, and we've seen the most engagement here in Asia Pacific. So this has really been the most conversational of all the elections in the Philippines. We've seen 22 million Filipinos engaging in conversations, about 268 million conversations on the elections alone. So that's really great engagement from the population here.
Is that over the time span of the campaign period, or
yes,
in the last?
We've been observing this since November and through this weekend.
Katie, does this surprise you?
No, it's, I've been working on global elections now at Facebook for 3 years. And the conversation that's happening here really mirrors the excitement and the passion that we are seeing more and more from people on Facebook about the elections. They want to engage with candidates, and they want to engage with their friends and family on issues, and we're seeing that here in this election.
And globally, what's been the impact of that kind of engagement on the real the results of elections?
We've seen around the world, we most recently released some case studies from Justin Trudeau in Canada and Mauricio Macri in Argentina, where their use of the platform really translated into votes for them, and they credit Facebook as helping them to not only reach more voters, but to actually get them to the polls and to actually get them to vote.
Elizabeth, are you surprised here in the Philippines in terms of how, one of the things that's fascinating is the rise of the front runner, Rodrigo Duterte. We saw it fueled by social media and by Facebook. Is this a surprise?
Well, not really, because if you look at the last elections, for example, if you can compare it, in 2013, we only had about 30% of the population on the internet.
Correct.
And that has grown significantly to about half of the population today.
Yep.
We know that we have 51 million unique users of Facebook here in the Philippines, and many of them are very active users. So we did expect the high engagement, but even then it's surpassed, and as I said, this has become the #1 most engaged in Facebook election in Asia Pacific.
That is not a surprise to me. I mean, what's interesting is if we were to talk about the three trends of these elections for us, it would be the rise of Duterte, which is actually fueled partly by social media, by your platform, and then the last one is the rise of Leni Robredo for vice president, and Marcos, the return of the Marcoses. So in terms of positives and negatives, in terms of Facebook, for example, Rudy Duterte used this platform very well. His supporters are on it. There was a point in time when they even put up a Facebook page saying rest in peace, attacking somebody who they felt was disrespectful of their candidate. Is this a surprise, and how have other countries around the world dealt with it?
Not really, Mario, because I think what you'll see is Facebook is a platform that allows for these authentic conversations. It's really the platform for political conversations, right? Especially during time of elections. So, and those conversations include sensitive issues, difficult issues, but what we're offering is allowing people to have a voice and to participate in that conversation. And the more people are participating in that conversation, the better it is for our political process, the better for democracy, and the better for the country. And that's really what Facebook is allowed to do this time.
And as Elizabeth mentioned, just to play off of that, in addition, we don't measure positive or negative. This is just the total volume of conversation. And we've seen not just Duterte, but all the candidates really using Facebook in which to have these discussions. And what we are trying to do at Facebook is to bring more people into the process, give them more access to information so that they're making a more informed choice when they actually go to the polls.
We've never had such an engaged election campaign, and this is something that all of our analysts have told us, that the kind of it's like bringing local community elections to a national level, and Facebook has played a significant role in that, in making that happen. How do you see this affecting Elizabeth, you're Filipino. How do you see it affecting democracy here in the Philippines?
Well, I think I go back to the authentic conversation, right? You're removing that middleman. You're able to get voters accessing information about the candidates, and candidates being able to give their messages, send their messages directly to voters, right? And being able to engage in that discussion of different issues that you're passionate about with your friends on Facebook. So that platform for authentic conversations is what Facebook provides, and we see that only growing.
I was just going to say, I think what we're also really excited about too is that we want to keep working with whomever the winners are to make sure that they keep using Facebook in the governing and using Facebook to involve citizens in the issues, the legislation, and the work that they're going to have to do once they're elected.
So let me go back. So I think we are all on the same page in terms of the overwhelmingly positive, the empowering role that social media has had in democracies around the world. But let's focus on how to mitigate the negative parts of it. We've seen also an outgrowth of echo chambers. People, so for example, the Mar Rojas supporters tend to stick together, stay on their own. Rudy Duterte supporters stay together. How can we keep information flowing at a time when echo chambers are formed on social media?
About a year ago, we actually released a study where we looked at that, and we found that people are really exposed to a much more diverse set of information than what you might think.
Okay.
You know, in our real lives, your friends and family, they don't all agree with you. In fact, they could agree completely differently, and that mirrors itself on Facebook. And so people really are they're not just talking to the same people who agree with them. They're getting a lot of different viewpoints in their Facebook newsfeed. And I think while yes, every campaign has their supporters who are trying to get information out there, most people are going to be seeing a wide variety of messages from the different candidates, and then on Facebook they get to discuss those and then help determine who they actually want to go vote for.
Interesting. And in the Philippines, have you seen that happen? I mean, how have you seen the landscape evolve?
Definitely. I think all the candidates are using the different tools that are available on Facebook. So you've seen them do posts, photos from their campaign, or even the behind-the-scenes kind of shots or video. Video, particularly, has been king, right? In this elections, you've seen a tremendous amount of videos, both from the presidential and vice presidential candidates. And our new product, Facebook Live in particular, which basically anyone with a phone, with a camera, can be a broadcaster, right? That has been really useful for them during political rallies or just speaking directly to their fans. I mean, you've seen every single one of them use them, right? From Leni Robredo speaking directly to her fans and thanking them for their support, to Duterte showing highlights from the debates. Any of them have used them very effectively.
It's not only the candidates. Rappler benefits from this. All of our lives, for example, and our ongoing coverage over the weekend have come from Facebook Lives. It's optimized. It's fast. I just wish we had better bandwidth in many parts of the country, but that's not your fault. Although you could go there also. I was going to say, has there been a significant impact of free basics here in the Philippines? I mean, this is one of the countries where there's a large gap between the rich and the poor, and people want to be on Facebook, but they can't afford the data plan. So you've rolled out free basics here, is internet.org. Have you seen take up in the Philippines?
Well, we do have strong partners here with both Globe and Smart, and so we hope that we will continue to reach more people that are currently not connected to the internet, so that it's kind of the onboarding to the internet, if you will. And so that number we have now, which is about half of the population, hopefully that will keep rising, and many more of them will be engaging in this kind of civic engagement that we currently see during elections.
So your number is at about 50% of the population. You're sort of talking around 50 million already
in terms of our users?
Yes.
We have 50 million.
50 million. That's
average
great.
users, yes.
Okay.
Everyone.
Wonderful.
51 million to be exact.
51 million.
Yes.
So the last one I had was in the 40s. Let me ask you, I'll run about one campaign that I think has had significant impact in the real world, which is Rudy Duterte's campaign. He has, of the data that we've seen, he has the most engaged community. But on top of that engaged community, and not just on Facebook, there are also bots that are there, right? It's so organized, it looks like a military PSYOPs campaign. That's how organized it is. So this very engaged community are given near simultaneous instructions. So if you can see, even on our Facebook page now, let me see if I can pull that up. On our Facebook page, you can actually see almost every single post will have something that they've had from the very beginning, which is #Duterte. So you can see, let me see if I can pull up a post here, and you can see the kind of we're slow. I think we're having, so she's just done a Facebook Live from Sorsogon, I believe. Let me see if I can give you this one. On every side, it's #Do30, hashtag. They have those quick instructions, and then it ripples through their community. And then what winds up happening, and it's happened maybe midway through the campaigns, is that this group defends Duterte to the hilt, to the point that it's triggered a certain kind of viciousness that wasn't there in past elections. Have you seen this happen in other parts of the world? And do you have any advice for us who live here in how to deal with it?
I think so. In any election, people have a real passionate conversation. It's happening in the United States right now. It's happening here in the Philippines. It's about to start in Australia, who just called their elections here recently. And I think, the campaigns that we find utilize social media the best, are using their supporters. But the main thing to remember is that those still are real people. And with Facebook, we take very strongly our commitment to making sure people are using their authentic identity on our site, and that they're real people, so that it keeps our community safe. And if we weren't having an impact, and if these weren't real people, you wouldn't see candidates like Trudeau and Macri using our platform then to success in winning their elections.
I just want to show the Facebook Live that we had, I was trying to show on here. Go ahead and show me the Facebook Live and some of the comments on the side for engagement. No, I think that's great. I just thought what's so interesting in this one is the kind of frenzy that it's created.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that, and how, I guess, best practices. This is so new. It's like introducing fire in the Stone Age, right? So how do we stop the fire from burning down a straw hut, for example? Have you seen that?
I think the most important thing is people need to remember is whatever they're seeing on Facebook or online, they need to make sure that they're validating it, and that they're making sure that the information's correct, and making sure they're looking at it with a critical eye. It's worth, somebody that you're a friend with or his family member might be a supporter, and they may be posting that all the time, but you may also want to go and check out the other candidates and see what they're saying as well, so that you can make that informed decision. And I think the major thing to remember is that while this is a very passionate time, and people are, really believe in what they believe in, and that's awesome, but you need to remain friends and family with these people afterwards.
I think that's actually the message that
and just making sure that we want to make sure it's as civic a discourse as possible, and we can both feel passionately about where we stand on the issues, as long as it's a respectful conversation.
What rules do you set in place? Do you set any rules in place?
Well, one of the things that we did from the very beginning was we trained all the different campaigns, right? So we gave them access to the tools, the best practices, so they all had that kind of training. But in terms of the platform itself, we do have very strict community standards that set the rules of what you can and cannot post on Facebook, and we adhere by that. And so one of the things that we talked about earlier, the authentic names policy, for example, that we're very strict about. And I know from engaging with the campaign teams here in the Philippines, we've had cases where there were fake pages that they asked us to take down, for example.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So it's that balance that we need to strike between keeping the community safe and having the authentic names, but also allowing for that discourse to take place, which is very important in times of elections.
During one time in the middle of the campaign, the frontrunner, Rudy Duterte, went to the University of UP Los Baños, and he spoke to students. One student asked him, actually just directly, a question. And the question so offended his supporters that they ran after that student. And they created a page on Facebook called #RIP, and then they put his name. It was online maybe for only 6 hours or so. We immediately called Facebook, and Facebook took it down because according to our laws here, that's illegal, right? But this is actually, let me pull this up, and this is, so you can see around the time when this happened. It's March 14th. We actually came out with an animated editorial, Online Mob Creates Social Media Wasteland. Because obviously we believe in social media, but if too many negative, if it becomes weeds taking over, then it becomes a wasteland for us, right? Here's an example. On this side, you can see this is a curse, right? And this is directed to Tangina nyo, Rappler, susugudin namin. This is a threat to Rappler. We're going to come at you, we're going to look for your office, and you'll see what will happen to you. Threats like this, it has this dark side. What rules are there in place for something like this? It's gotten to the point that one woman on Facebook actually went, this is the animated editorial that came with it. One woman on Facebook actually filed a case. She filed a case against 34 people online. Again, on Facebook's case, you're only providing the platform, but it's not the candidates we worry about as much as people who may not understand exactly how we can be. What are the best practices we could use as mediators? Well, no more mediators, but as people who use it.
Yeah, and I think a couple of things. One, as you mentioned, we work really closely with law enforcement and others to try to take down content as quickly as we can that is violating our terms of service. And so because we do want to make sure that it's a safe place on Facebook. I think one of the things I'm interested in looking at as we continue to have Facebook involved in these elections is what are ways that we can try to help at least remind people to perhaps think about how they can be discussing these issues again without needing to use physical threats in which to do so. And while I know everything, it's very easy to focus on the negative, there's a lot of positive aspects. Today we're running our voter megaphone, and we have so many people who are so excited to share on Facebook that they're voting. They take this responsibility so seriously that, I oftentimes like to look at that because while it's easy to focus on the negative, there's so much positive messaging that's also happening on the platform.
No, there definitely is. Elizabeth, your thoughts on this?
As I said before, I think the more voices that are part of the discourse, and that's both positive or negative, different perspectives, the more voices are engaged in the conversation, the better it is for the political process here in the country. It's better for democracy, it's better for the country.
And lessons learned from this election. I mean, do you see anything that you will... Facebook changes so fast. It's part of the fun part here, right? Sometimes we want you to stop changing. But what lessons do you see coming out of this that could help your other engagement?
One of the things I'm most excited about is the Facebook Live. It's one of our newest products.
She loves
and
it.
Seeing it not only and just seeing how it's not only helped candidates, but also media. Such as yourselves, use it to just reach such a large population of people who aren't even maybe watching television anymore. And so there's a lot of lessons learned that we've been watching not only from you, but the candidates that I promise you I will be taking to other places around the globe and sharing as best examples.
Elizabeth, coming from the Philippines and watching these elections, what do you see, what role is Facebook playing in this in terms of actually impacting who's going to become our next leaders?
Well, one of the things that we didn't talk about, but if you look at the engagement, it's coming from young women voters. So you look at 18 to 24 is the highest demographic that's really highly engaged in Facebook, and then the next age group from 25 to 34. So that's very interesting to me to see that young women, including millennials, are very, very much engaged in this. So they care about the future of the country, they care about the issues, and so they're making their voices heard, and that's a great opportunity for us, right? So if you look at all the other people that otherwise would be probably unheard or unconnected, so here's an opportunity for all of these voices to weigh in and on their candidates, on the issues, and something that's very important to us. So I think that's great for the country, so it's great to see that. And I think this is just the beginning of that kind of engagement. We hope to see that connectivity continue to go up and the number of users also go up so we can have many more voices participating in this process.
How can we optimize Facebook in this society?
I think we're already doing that now, as you see, but I think Katie said it before, it's not just during elections. I think there's an opportunity here for all of the candidates to see the power that it had during the elections, but to use it for civic engagement throughout the next six years, basically. Now that you've tapped that kind of sentiment, you've tapped that kind of engagement, how do we continue to keep citizens engage more fully in the process that we're going to see, and in the issues that we will be discussing over the next few years.
In terms of Indonesia, it's the largest countries in the world, right? The Indonesian president actually used social media to try to look for his new cabinet. What did you think of this?
I think it's amazing. We've seen it not only in Indonesia, but to go to Argentina too. He announced his cabinet on Facebook. And so what we're really encouraged to see is how world leaders, 87% of the world's leaders are on Facebook in some way, shape, or form. And so they're using it because they're not just using it as a one-way communication.
Yeah.
They are using it to engage with citizens, and there's still a lot of lessons to be learned, but I'm just encouraged that we're no longer to a point where I have to convince them to be on Facebook. It's now what are the best practices and how can they use it best to reach citizens.
Elizabeth, in terms of things that you want to roll out here in the Philippines, do you see anything new coming up for us?
Well, we just opened our office here
Yes,
last
you
month.
did. Yes,
so we're very happy to be here, and it's a great time to be here as well. And this is one of the most active populations, or user groups that we have in the Philippines. So we expect that's going to continue. It's great to have that presence here.
One of the criticisms, though, against Facebook is your long-term goal. I mean, what is the long-term goal? The black box of Facebook for us as publishers, right? Definitely, it is our most potent tool, and at the same time, we don't know where you want to go. Where do you see Facebook?
Our mission hasn't changed at all, Maria. I mean, it has been to make the world more open and connected. And when we say that, we mean everyone, right? So that's why what we're doing on connectivity, to get parts of the population that are not yet connected to be connected with free basics, as you know. It's some of the things that we're doing, even from an innovation perspective. If you saw some of the artificial intelligence work that we're doing to provide access to visually impaired people to be able to have a description of the photos automatically said to them so they can participate in the billion of photos that are uploaded onto Facebook every day. So that's the kind of commitment we have to make this a more open and connected world.
And what are you doing in other parts of the world that you can see coming to Southeast Asia or to Asia Pacific?
Well, I think we've already been doing some of those. You look at some of the election coverage even here, the data, the touchscreen maps are ones that actually started in the United Kingdom. They didn't start in the United States. And so what is great is that every election keeps building off of the other one, and a lot of the tools that we make available aren't just on a country-by-country basis, but it's really global, and then we try to localize it to your area.
This is Facebook Live. Let's check her precinct. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's really... This is the only problem with the Philippines, ladies. Because of our telco system, and we're really looking forward to, I mean, even through this last few days of coverage, Facebook Live has been amazing for us. Almost everything, particularly in terms of bandwidth. If the bandwidth is there, it's there. And so we can see the new age of media is here now, everything online. Well, we're going to keep this up, but why don't we inset, and then let's continue talking about the ideas behind Facebook Live. What made Facebook decide to do live video?
So I've been at Facebook now for 5 years. And back in 2012, we saw a huge shift from desktop to mobile.
Yeah.
Where now nearly everybody is using Facebook on the mobile device. And we've been seeing a similar shift happening recently around video and how video is being consumed on the mobile device. And we found that people are watching live video 3 times as long as they are pre-recorded video.
Yes.
It's giving a lot of different people a voice, not only print journalism, online journalists who don't have broadcast stations, but also regular citizens. I give a story from Brazil.
Yeah.
Recently, they've been going through impeachment hearings. And I was able to watch through Facebook Live not only a member of Congress who was on the floor voting, but also citizens who are on the street protesting and following what was happening.
That's
and it's
exciting.
just been giving people such a voice that we saw it taking off, and so then we focused all of our efforts over the course of about 2 months to get this out to everybody globally.
Yeah.
And we've just been seeing it take off tremendously as people have been wanting to share in real time the experiences that they're having.
Facebook Live, the Philippines was one of the first markets that it went to in Asia Pacific,
yes,
right?
and I think you're probably one of the first users
we
of it.
love it.
And it goes back to the authentic conversations. I think what you get with live, you don't have this very highly produced and edited
as you can
kind
see.
of videos. It's really that raw, authentic conversation or event as it's happening.
Right.
And you really see that authentic event or person. So if for the candidates, for example, that you're following or watching, you get that. And it's also, you get a mix of the personal and the professional side, right? A much more holistic view of the candidates. And I think that's what voters are looking for. They want to see who the candidate is, not just the professional side, but a little bit more also of the authentic personal side of their life.
Yes, yes. In terms of Facebook's innovation, I mean, there was a period of time several years back where people were saying, no, Facebook is losing it, and then it comes back with mobile, this mobile first. I mean, how do you foment, how do you push forward innovation in a company that's grown so large and has so many users?
Well, it may seem that we're large. We only have a little over 12,000 employees. So we're still, as an employee base, still very small, and we can still move very quickly. And I think it goes, at least for me, it goes up to our leadership. I mean, Mark and Cheryl, when they find, they always say ruthless prioritization. And
we have to do that, ruthless prioritization.
And they find, when they see things such as live, they have no question to put all of our resources to something like that to build it up. And then I think too is, Elizabeth was saying earlier, Mark has been sharing with people publicly our 5-year plan, our 10-year plan, so that people kind of have a sense of where we are going, so that it's not a surprise in where we see the world going. And it's really a privilege to work at a company like this that is not just the Facebook app now, but it's Instagram, it's WhatsApp, it's Oculus, it's Facebook Messenger. It's a whole collection of applications and companies that are doing some really innovative things.
And the live is just the most immersive kind of the state we're in right now. But as you move to virtual reality and augmented reality, that takes us to a whole different level, right? Again, it's that very authentic, very immersive experience. So the closest thing to the real thing, right? So that's going to be even more exciting.
When we're here 6 years from now, we could be talking about how people are able to, in virtual reality, be at a rally even though they're sitting at home.
Yes.
You're going to be able to include people who maybe can't leave their homes.
Or overseas Filipinos.
Yes, exactly. It's going to be very interesting to watch how over the next couple of years virtual reality 360 video also take a place on our platform.
Well, let's continue our conversation. I know I don't have you for that long, but let me call up a member of our social media team, Paige Oxenola, who's been updating us through the last 2 days to just show us what the trends are now that are coming out on Facebook.
We have here the top presidential candidates that are most discussed on Facebook. So number 1 is our social media favorite and survey frontrunner Rodrigo Duterte, followed by Mar Rojas, and another candidate with a very strong social media following, even from before the elections, Miriam Defensor Santiago. Mar Rojas is not so popular in the polls, but his supporters have been really active on social media to push for him. He currently has this silent majority campaign going on where his supporters are saying, we're not as vocal as Duterte supporters are on social media, but it's time we speak up. They even have a hashtag, silent no more. And then recently they tried to appeal to the undecided voters. There's a new group that came up just last week, a week before we go out to vote. It's called the Silent Majority. Which means we're not really sure if we like him, but he's our best chance, So over here they're saying we are the medyo undecided, and we are hashtag not that silent no more. Okay, so here we are the silent majority. We are not that silent no more. Ang sigaw namin, hindi sila na nga, kundi sila na lang. So they're kind of settling, which is very interesting, and it's been getting a lot of traction on social media. Now, the vice presidential candidates are very interesting because here you have Duterte's running mate, Alan Peter Cayetano, number 1 in the most discussed candidates, followed by Ferdinand Marcos and Leni Robredo. Robredo is the LP candidate, and Marcos is running with Miriam Santiago. So more or less the same top 3 in the tandem. Now over here, Okay, the top issues on Facebook as of 10 in the morning, we have transparency, specifically corruption, education, social welfare and poverty, economy, and transparency, specifically in terms of justice. So not much has changed from this morning, but things are more interesting over here in the top word pairs discussed in Facebook. What are the top word pairs? The top word pairs are the top two words that show up in everyone's Facebook statuses this morning. So as we've mentioned earlier, sentiment has changed a lot on Facebook and on social media this week, especially last night and yesterday, compared to the weeks before. The sentiment these days, it's more of just a message of unity, going out there to vote, more positive. So we have vote wisely, God bless. This is usually followed with God bless Philippines, election day, bless Philippines. And this is the interesting thing. This just came up as of the latest update, change and coming, which is Duterte's tagline, change is coming. So this is fairly new, and we're expecting the sentiment to change throughout the day. Maybe more supporters will be rallying behind their candidates today. We're not sure, but thus far, this is what we have.
Paige, can you tell me when did it switch from the negative kind of viciousness early, and then when did it become positive?
It switched as early as yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday, we didn't see a lot of discussion, especially when it comes to the presidential and vice presidential candidates. The most we had were senatorial candidates. We had Senator De Lima trending, so I guess her supporters were trying to get people to support her during the last day.
And that was actually an issue because you're not supposed to be campaigning in the last day, right?
Yeah, but when you think about it, I did a story on the online ads. Those things are not really regulated, and I'm not entirely sure if a trending topic is counted as campaigning because you really can't blame the supporters for tweeting.
Right,
So
right.
I'm not sure if it counts as campaigning.
Yeah. You did do that story on Facebook. What role, in your mind, what role was Facebook playing in these campaigns?
Well, what was interesting for me was I monitored how they handled their social media, and I also monitored how they did their ads. I also discussed how ads work and how, so it's basically targeting the demographics, and I also touched on how the COMELEC said that it wouldn't be easy to regulate online ads, so they're not going to try anymore. Because of the targeting thing, no two people would see the same ads at the same time. So that was interesting. But more important to me was Duterte and his social media team were not that good on social media. They would just post pictures of rallies, but they didn't really have materials. Like Grace Poe had an animated video. Rojas would constantly have his quotes put up on social media cards. They would boost it, so they had a very organized and orchestrated effort. But nothing could really beat the organic conversations that Duterte is getting on social media. His fans would be the ones making his graphics for him. His fans would be the ones creating the hashtags and rallying other people to go behind it and post it everywhere. I would see, while monitoring our social media accounts, I would see them have ready statements, copied and pasted in every article. It's like one person wrote it and told everyone, let's copy and paste this and put it all over.
They're great mobilization.
Yeah, it's amazing. They drag us into it. They drag other news networks into it. Sometimes there would be days where boycott so-and-so network would be trending or bias so-and-so would be trending. So that was very interesting. There's no amount of orchestrated effort could beat your organic on-the-ground support. Talking about vote counting machines, there's a meme going around before the elections reminding people that you're not allowed to take selfies with your ballots. They've been calling this the social media elections. A lot of millennials are voting. So our mentions this morning was blowing up because people were reporting a very popular love team. Let's bring this up. This is one of the tweets that we got. Here they have this popular meme, selfies with your ballot. It is an election offense to take a photo of your ballot on election day. What's funny is someone edited this and then posted something about number 2 Game of Thrones spoilers. So yeah, priorities. And then here we have a picture of the love team. We have Catherine Bernardo and Danielle Padilla posing with their ballots. Yeah. So a lot of people have been fighting on social media. If you're not familiar with how love teams work in the Philippines, they're very rabid as well. They're just as rabid or as supporters of the candidates, if not even more so. So there's a lot of fighting between fans and fans of this love team. And then what's funny was shortly after this was posted, shortly after this was going around, Comelec spokesperson James Jimenez actually tweeted, "Catherine and Danielle and I need to talk, #Pilipinas." So are they in trouble? We're not sure. But I guess they need to talk to the Comelec spokesperson. And that's it for social media.
This battle is actually going on Twitter, right?
Yeah, it's all over Twitter. I'm not sure if you could see the mentions here. Yeah, this is 147 retweets, and a lot of fighting. It's kind of scary. So all of a sudden, everyone's like citing articles. Everyone's suddenly a elections expert. So there you go, reminding everyone why it's wrong. Articles from all kinds of websites. So there. They're asking everyone to. It's good. It's voter education.
Yeah.
But it's just funny how it came about. So there. Now over to the online polls. Here on Rappler, we have a page dedicated to showing you how the candidates are faring on social media. So here we have partner Senti, where we measure sentiment online, both on Facebook and Twitter, about the candidates. So here we have Duterte with like 30%, that's around 20,000 over positive sentiment, with majority of it is neutral, however, at 43.9. Oh no. Broke it. Vinay has 65% neutral. Miriam is at 45% neutral. Mar Rojas is 50% negative on social media, so that's interesting. For the vice presidential candidates, we have Chisik Escudero with 66.4% neutral. Most of the sentiment is neutral. Let's see if we could find something here. Trillanes, who challenged Duterte over his alleged BPI accounts. 37.1% of the sentiment about him is at negative. And over here, we also chart who people are talking about on Facebook. So this is over time. Duterte peaking around the first week of May. Oh, that's May 7. That's May today, 7.
Yeah. This is PH vote Duterte just is always off the scale in terms of Facebook, right? And this is a real.
I'm not sure if you can zoom in. Yeah, I don't think it's possible.
Okay,
but yeah, that's it for social media.
Wonderful. Thanks, Paige. We're going to go back. So your thoughts, I guess, as we wrap up the role Facebook is playing in these elections. Everyone admits it heralds a new age for us. I mean, in terms of greater engagement and greater empowerment for Filipinos who haven't had a voice. How do you see it moving forward? How do you see it changing?
I think this is just a reflection of how connected Filipinos are, how engaged they are. And earlier you asked me what we're doing here in the Philippines. I would add that the election is just one example, but the same kind of way that the platform has provided that access and that targeting at scale and that cost-effective way is something that businesses, small and big, are also experiencing here in the Philippines. So the fact that we're here to support those businesses, to use the platform, so you'll see that not just in civic engagement now with elections, but you'll see it also in the ability of businesses here in the Philippines to grow and go internationally, right? So that's how the power of Facebook as a platform really you'll see become more useful, especially for the small businesses that don't have the same kind of resources. You talked about your business being empowered with our tools and Facebook Live and being able to do things more quickly. And you can go, Rappler can be not just in the Philippines, Indonesia, perhaps in many more countries. It's the same thing that you'll see, I think, with many of the Filipino businesses here. And that's something that's exciting for us to see.
How do you think that kind of exponential growth that technology brings about, how it's, as Elizabeth pointed out, it's not just civic engagement. In fact, that's probably a byproduct in some ways. But this exponential growth of business development, how is that going to impact our society, and what do you see happening around the world?
I think it goes back to our core mission, that when we see more people get connected to one another and we see more people get connected globally, it helps them not only, again, with their small business, it helps candidates, big and small, to be able to connect with more citizens. And it just helps more people to also get to understand people who, in different perspectives that they may not have known before. And it allows for a greater amount of conversation around issues, greater access to the people who represent them. And for us, we're just trying to build the technologies so that we can make more of those connections between people around the world.
What's the next big thing?
I'm really excited about, virtual reality is really exciting. I think 360 video, and there's also a lot around messaging,
Yes.
WhatsApp and Messenger.
That was your big thing in F8 this year, right?
Yeah, it was. And it's, thinking about how that could change communications with a government or an elected representative, of being able to do that through Messenger and get answers and questions. And it all goes back to how we're seeing people use mobile, and how they're using their mobile devices to want to get information and to engage. And I think that's where you're going to continue to see technology grow, and you're going to see, we've seen campaigns catch up to that here in the election. I think you're going to see government start to catch up on that too once we shift into governing.
Fantastic. Ladies, your last thoughts before we go off there. Elizabeth first.
Well, just that this has been an exciting elections, and the way we started, I think you were the one that started talking about this is going to be the social media elections, and it's proven to be true. The numbers, surpass even my expectations. So this is the most engaged Facebook election in Asia Pacific today, and I think that's just the beginning of the kind of engagement we'll continue to see in the Philippines, and that's exciting for us.
What other country has had more engagement than the Philippines? She said not in Asia Pacific.
No, I think, outside of the U.S., the only other one that really comes to mind is the one in Brazil in 2014.
Okay, that
had
makes sense.
over 674 million interactions. But I think, here in the Philippines with 22 million people having 268 million interactions, it's such an engaged electorate, and it's such a huge election that, Facebook really has become the new town hall. Yes. And it has become the new way for people to engage in civic issues, and we'll be interested to see what happens tonight.
Wonderful. Katie Harpeth, Elizabeth Hernandez, thank you for joining us at Rappler.
Thank you.
We'll stay in touch as the results come in, yes?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Thank you to be
Okay,
here.
we're going to show you the steps how to vote. For those of you who haven't voted yet, please, there is a precinct finder on Rappler. Go find it, go to your polls now. And here's a little video to just show you exactly what you need to do. When we come back, Cheche Lazaro will be taking over. She'll be with Marites Vitug, and we'll have Ronnie Holmes from Pulse Asia with them. See you soon. Check out the video.
Voting on election day? Here's how. Come early. Make sure you are in the right precinct as designated by COMELEC. The PPCRV Voters Assistance Desk can also help you look for your precinct, sequence, and room number. Once you determine your correct precinct, approach the Board of Election Inspector Chairman to get your ballot.
Gabriel Santos.
Make sure your ballot is new and clean, no markings or dents. Now it's time to vote. Cover your ballot using the secrecy folder. Fill out your ballot by completely shading the circle beside the names of the candidates and party list of your choice. Do not write anything else on the ballot. Don't tear, smudge, or crumple. Using your phone in any manner inside the precinct is prohibited. After filling out your ballot, approach the vote counting machines or VCM. For persons with disabilities, senior citizens, and illiterate voters, headphones will be provided so they can follow VCM instructions. Insert your ballot into the VCM entry slot. Return the ballot secrecy folder and marking pen to BEI support staff or poll clerk. VCM screen will flash some names of the candidates you voted for. Do not pull the receipt. The poll clerk will fold and cut your receipt for you. After indelible ink is applied on your forefingernail, you will be given your voter's receipt. Review your receipt. Drop your receipt on the receipt receptacle box. Remember, you are not allowed to leave the precinct with your receipt. Congratulations, you have successfully voted.